Hello guys, Bob here, and as promised since October, I'm finally getting around to reviewing Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Although, ironically enough, on the main title card in the film, it just says Halloween 5. There is no mention of The Revenge of Michael Myers whatsoever. Halloween 5 came out in 1989, 1 year after Halloween 4. It was directed by Dominique Othenin Gerard. Danielle Harris returns, as does Donald Pleasance as Dr. Sam Loomis, and Ellie Cornell also returns as Rachel Carruthers. Bo Starr also returns as sher- the sheriff of Haddonfield, Sheriff Ben Meeker. After the incredibly shocking ending from Halloween 4, you wouldn't have been wrong to have assumed that they would have made Danielle Harris's character of Jamie Lloyd evil. She did, after all, violently attack her stepmother. Instead, they made her a mute, and she is in a local children's clinic and getting treatment there. 1 year later, on Halloween, the Halloween of '89, or All Hallows Eve, as the title card says in the film, uh, Michael awakes, and at the same time, it's determined that she has a psychic link with Michael Myers. So instead of taking this series in what would have been an interesting new direction and making the Jamie Lloyd character evil, they decided to go back to the basics, as Mustafa Akkad would say, and basically it is Michael stalking Jamie again and Jamie's foster family and their friends. Rachel gets killed fairly quickly in this one. It's not a half hour in. I doubt she has 5 full minutes of screen time in the actual film. Uh, and then we're replaced with a Tina character who is played by Wendy Kaplan or Kaplan. I'm not sure what the correct enunciation is. You get that a lot on this channel. But among the fan base, she is considered to be the most annoying character in the whole Halloween series. Although I have to be honest, Katie Sackhoff's character from Resurrection does give her a run for the money. Anyway, after Michael stalks Jamie for a period of time, he ends up stalking Tina and her friends over to a party at the Tower Farm. And they do typical teenager stuff. Michael kills him. Jamie escapes because she's worried about Tina and goes over there. Michael ends up chasing her with an old car, and it wouldn't have been necessarily been old back then, but today it's probably one of those cars that would be considered a classic car. But he ends up chasing her through this brush shrub patch, and in real life, that car would never have made it through that patch. Those evergreens would have hung the car up a long time ago, but he makes it through it somehow. And then he crashes the car, and Tina saves Jamie, and that sets up a big showdown at the Myers house as portrayed in this film. I say as portrayed in this film because if you've seen the movie, you know that that's right. The Myers house, that classic two-story house that we saw in Halloween and Halloween 2, has been replaced by this gothic mansion-y looking thing that most people don't live in. That's when people do things like that, if that it's done that way from the beginning, that's fine. But the producers had to know we'd notice. And I know this film was shot in Salt Lake City instead of Pasadena, but you're not telling me they couldn't have found something that more closely resembled the basics boxy two-story house that the original Myers house was. I digress. Anyway, this sets up that showdown at the Myers house I was telling you about, where Michael attacks Loomis. They had a SWAT team there, but Michael caused a distraction somewhere else, and the SWAT team left at the children's clinic is where he caused the distraction, which apparently was they had this real elaborate, violent scene that got deleted for ratings purposes, which I would love to see, but the scene was removed. And Michael chases Jamie throughout the Myers house, and There's a scene where Jamie is in the laundry chute, which is the best scene, and hands down, it's the best scene in the whole movie. And there is quite a bit of tension there, and that was very well done. But then there's a scene where Jamie runs up into the attic, and she hides in a coffin of a 9-year-old girl, and she finds out then that Rachel was killed fairly early on, which, she's supposed to have had that psychic link, so I would have thought she would have already known that. But anyway, she hides in the coffin, and Michael gets ready to stab her, and she says, "Uncle, Boogeyman, he let me see," and he takes his mask off. And there's a tear that runs down his cheek, and it's is what it is. It just kind of makes this weird moment in the franchise, but not as weird as what we'd get into in Halloween 6, which you'll have to wait till closer to the Halloween season for me to get into that one. By this point, Jamie manages to escape. Michael chases her down the stairs, and Loomis runs into her and uses her as bait to get her into this room where he drops this chain net thing over Michael, and he starts shooting him with tranquilizers and smacking him with the 2x4. And long story short, Dr. Loomis has a stroke or a heart attack, one of the two, and he falls on top of Michael. The police come back. Michael is put in jail. Should be a happy ending, right? Well, this time it's not, as the man in black, who I've not yet mentioned, but you've seen him periodically wandering around throughout Haddonfield. He has a tattoo of what we will learn to be the thorn symbol in Halloween 6 on his wrist, as does Michael now. Although they did not know at the time that was going to be a related deal. But anyway, the man in black busts Michael out and kills all the cops. And Jamie stands at the back of the police station after wandering back in, and she screams no. And that's how Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, ends. Halloween 5 is generally considered to be one of the worst in the franchise. And I generally agree. There is an exception to that, which we will get into whenever I get to that point. But this is the middle film in what is known as the Thorn trilogy, and it is definitely the weakest in my opinion. It has its moments, but it has a lot of problems. It's very apparent this thing was rushed. Othin and Gerard should not have been given as long of a leash as he was to do weird things with the mythos. He would have found much less disagreement, I guess I'll put it, with the fan base if he'd have stuck kind of with the Jamie Lloyd being evil, or at least partially evil storyline. Instead, they kind of took a cop out. I think Mustafa Akkad had something to do with that, not wanting her to be evil, because he thought the audiences wanted to see Michael be evil, which, if done right, you could have had both of them be evil. Let's be blunt. But the whole film, whether it's the forgettable cast of characters other than Jamie, she's good, and Dr. Loomis, of course, is always, the deranged Captain Ahab going after his whale and Michael. I mean, Donald Pleasance is great in everything he's in. Ellie Cornell was good with what she had to work with, but let's face it, the character of Rachel does everything that she would not have done in Halloween 4, and that's why she dies so early in this one. It's very poorly written. When I was younger, this film had some genuine moments that did scare me, I'm not going to lie, but it isn't enough to redeem this. And it's clear that they didn't know what they were doing with the man in black and the whole thorn tattoo at the time, although the thorn tattoo on Michael, so the original opening had this younger person that was into all the mystical stuff and voodoo stuff, and he actually brought Michael back to life with that thorn tattoo on his arm as part of the ritual, and that's where he got it. But that doesn't explain how the other guy got it. And Don Shanks, who plays Michael in this when he takes over from George P. Wilbur, played both parts. And I gotta say, it's just it's Halloween 5 is a mess. I'll still watch it when it's on TV, or when I'm going through the franchise, I'll still watch it. And yeah, I'll get enjoyment out of parts of it. It's like the laundry chute chase that I talked about being good. And there's a few other moments when he's actually stalking Rachel and Tina in the Carruthers house. That part of the film is done really well, other than Rachel making the stupid decision she makes. That part of the film is made very well. It's very creepy. Alan Howard's score is great, but ultimately, of the original storyline, before they started doing all the reboots and stuff, at this point, this is definitely the weakest in the franchise. So I'm going to give this one a rating of a 6 out of 10. It pains me to say it, but this one isn't that good. It is not the worst one. There are others that I don't. There's one in particular I really don't like, but we'll get to that one next fall when I go through the rest of the franchise. The reason I'm doing this one now is I promised you guys I would get to it when I had time, and I'm sorry it took as long as it did, but I had a bunch of stuff going on between Harvest and the death in the family and everything. It's been pretty hectic. I'm trying to get things going again, but when I've got time, I apologize for all this. This was not planned. But I will return to the Halloween franchise of Halloween 6 this fall, and I will run through it, and hopefully this year we actually get to see Halloween Kills. I am pumped about seeing that one. So cross your fingers, everyone, that Blumhouse stays true to their word, and no matter what, we get that film this year. There is a little bit of a gray area here on how many people Michael Myers kills. I can confirm that he killed 12 in this film. But the thing is it is implied, and was it covered in that deleted scene that no one has ever seen, that Michael took out the SWAT team. Well, we don't know how many was in the SWAT team. It's kind of a gray area. It's implied, and I am counting that he killed the nurse and the doctor from the children's hospital, just because that's heavily implied. But it's kind of a gray area, and I really haven't decided what for a total count that I'm going to make that bring Michael to, but I know I'm going to count for sure 12. So I'm going to kind of wait, and maybe by the next year when Halloween 6 rolls around, I'll give you a updated count with what I have decided on that one. But then you get into the unknown of how many other people die in this film, because Sheriff Meeker dies. We know he dies at the hands of the Man in Black, but there's also 7 other cops for sure that are killed on screen, but it's unclear how many people actually were working at the police station at the time. So we'll go with it, and let's of course not forget, being a dog lover, there is a death of a dog in this film. Rest in peace, Max. The mask in this film is also one of them that's not as good as the others. A lot of people give the Halloween 4 mask thunder. Well, I like it better than I like the mask in this one. The neck is untucked and is way too long. Maybe I'd like it better if the neck was tucked in, but it's way too long. And the thing is, it's supposed to be the same mask as what they had as what he had in Halloween 4. So it is what it is. It doesn't make or break the film for me. The mask is not something that, while yes, it's important, it didn't break the film for me. So another complaint that a lot of fans have with this film is the mask. But like I say, it didn't bother me, and apparently among the fan base, Halloween 4 is considered to have the worst mask, and then this one's behind that. Well, I like the Halloween 4 mask better than this one, so it is what it is. Alright guys, that's all I've got for Halloween 5. Thank you so much for watching. I will get into Lord of the Rings and Back to the Future series. Will be the next franchises I go through. Well, The Hobbit would be included in that, but I'll give you the review of each individual of those films. I'll start with The Lord of the Rings, and then The Hobbit, and then give you my impressions of each disc. Then I'll go into the Back to the Future films. and then after that, we'll go from there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing to this channel. And for now, this is Bob, signing off.